black and the things that are black that bring us joy.
So it's my inflection. Got it. I was like, Jade, what were you writing? What is this? Blooper reel. Okay.
There we go.
Here we go.
That's the cold open.
Cold open.
What's up, fam, and welcome back to the Good Black Podcast. The Good Black Podcast is now a weekly podcast where your two favorite cousins will invite you into fun but thought-provoking conversations about adulting while black in these United States, and our thoughts about the world around us, from pop culture to self-love, encouragement, and creativity, and so much more.
Yes, so strap in and let's get into this latest episode. So for our first episode this season, we're focusing on Juneteenth and the things that bring us joy because we're black, and the things that are black that bring us joy. So let's start with a very brief history of Juneteenth.
Juneteenth, aka Jubilee Day, aka Freedom Day, is celebrated on June 19th and has been something the masses have learned about or given platform to more recently, as it was formally signed into law as a national holiday in 2019. But it's a day that some black folks have celebrated for quite a long time.
Right. So I've definitely got some thoughts on the timing of it becoming a federal holiday, because what I will say is they love to focus on everything but what we're actually asking for. But I digress. So Juneteenth commemorates and celebrates the end of slavery, which was June 19th, 1865. And so that's actually 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, which was signed in January 1863. So after hearing me say those two dates, you might be asking yourself, why the gap?
Right. So the proclamation didn't instantly free everyone. And as we've learned from history classes, it actually only applied to territory under Confederate control. So slavery actually continued after the signing. And in Texas, the enslaved black people weren't given word of the proclamation or released until General Gordon Granger and troops began rolling into Galveston, Texas to read the proclamation to the estimated 250,000 enslaved people. Freedom and celebrations ensued. Again, the word didn't spread as quickly to some, but eventually these ancestors did learn of their liberation.
So Texas became the first state to recognize Juneteenth as an official holiday in like the late 70s, and other states have continued to follow suit. And like Gant said, it was formally signed into law as a national holiday in 2019. The holiday focuses on freedom, joy, history, culture, and our continued progress and advancement. And one of the things that Juneteenth brings up for me, just as far as imagery goes, I don't know who all out there has seen The Wiz. If you haven't, we need to talk. But it makes me think about it makes me think about one of the final scenes from The Wiz, and just what it must have felt like to hear of the news of your freedom. So at the end of The Wiz, it's this big yellow dance scene where they are singing Brand New Day. And so when they first started, they're in their original costumes that they were working in under Eveline. So it's like these really ugly, it's like a full body covering or body suit, and they're pretty hideous, just very grotesque. And then there's this big pause, and you see them like slowly and gracefully shedding the costumes. And, you know, underneath you're revealing these beautiful yellow bathing suits and just this beautiful brown and black skin. And it's like slowly shedding that full body covering that was holding them down, and that they had to don in order to work in this factory. And, you know, after they take that costume off, it's almost like the energy of the dance and the singing picks up. And it's just so much pure black joy personified in that moment because they're finally free. And so that's the imagery that comes to mind when I think of Juneteenth, and like some pop culture reference that I can, you know, quickly attach to. So yeah, that is the history of Juneteenth. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that, and it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
So for this Juneteenth, what do you want to acknowledge that has brought you joy, Jade?
So we're actually going to do this in a little bit of a back and forth. So my first thing that I want to acknowledge is Black people dancing, or just how we gather in general. I think we are an amazing people. I think we are funny people, but there's something about when we get together and it's to celebrate, and like specifically thinking of like parties I've been to or a party I went to fairly recently. And I had never met these people before, but when I say it was a vibe, it was such a vibe. And the music that filled the room and just how it moved our bodies and how we were connecting, it was amazing. And I feel like Black people dance with their entire bodies and their souls. And especially like the thing that I'm thinking about in particular in this moment in that party that I went to a couple months ago, I saw that. And when I say there was joy in that room, baby, joy in that room. And you can feel it. Like you can feel it from every corner, from every person in there, and like how they were just moving and vibing with the music. And then, it brought us together. I got into a little bit of a dance battle over one of my over one of my white faves, because it was me and one other guy. We were the only two people apparently that knew this song by Hall and Oates. You're thinking, why would they play Hall and Oates at a Black party? Because Hall and Oates belongs to the Black
I mean,
community.
they do.
Let's be real. But
Them
it
and
was
Paramore.
it was such a vibe. And the fact that it was me and yes, Paramore, but the fact that it was me and this one other guy and we are belting at the top of our lungs and really getting it and hitting our 1 2s and everything. It was perfect. So yeah, I want to acknowledge just Black people dancing and how we come together and gather in general, and the joy that is, created and emanates from us when that happens. What about you? What's your first one?
Um, my first one is Black existence in media. I think that, this is just a thing that I've kind of like, I feel like just kind of came to my mind probably like in the last year or so, but I just find that there's so much magic in the mundane, like really basic everyday things that are just able to, kind of like that there's magic, that there's something beautiful in those moments. And so right now there's such a, um, I don't want to say an outpour, right? Because it's not like, it's not nonstop, but there
Mhm.
is an increasing amount of imagery in Black people just being normal
Mhm.
and Black simultaneously. I just love being able to see media where Black people are existing and they are Black, but it's not the butt of the joke.
Mhm.
The Blackness is not the center of of it. It's like they are Black and they are just real regular people just living life, and like it's in there, it's very clear, it's very blatant, but it's not dramatic and it's not played up for laughs. I think a lot of times, like some of our older imagery that we have of Black people and Black families is kind of can be a little bit either dramatic
Mhm.
or it's like over the top, and it's just it's just in your face, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a space for that, and absolutely, like I don't think there's anything wrong with Black people being loud and unapologetic about being themselves.
Yes.
But I also think there's something magic in it, just seeing us exist and just be normal. And there's a fullness to that experience that is not burdened by some of the trauma that happens because
Mhm.
we are Black, right?
Mhm.
So I just love being able to see more representations of that, and like places where I see that are in newer shows like Grand Crew
Mhm.
and in Abbott Elementary to some degree, because because it's Abbott Elementary is hilarious, but I digress.
Money dance, money
But
dance, money dance.
yes, yes. So I, like those two shows in particular, but I also, but there are also other things that are coming out that I feel like is just beautiful to see Black people in these shows being Black, but not having like Black.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Thank you. Okay, I'm glad you caught that because I
Mhm.
was like, I don't know if it's gonna carry, but
Yes.
I'm saying. So yes, that is one of the things bringing me joy. So what about you? What's next for you?
My next one is Black sisterhood and friendship, and that brings me so much joy. I am my brother and I are like 14 years apart, and it's just the two of us. Um, and I that's it. But my sisters from other families, from all walks of life, and the sisterhoods I've created and the friendships I've created, like those are my sisters. And it's one thing when people are like, "Oh, you need to get you a ride or die," and they're talking about romantic relationships. You also need to have that just in your friendships. And when I tell you I
Mm,
have some ride or dies in my corner, I would never ask them to die. I would not do that because that's rude.
right.
You got stuff to
You
do.
know, inconsiderate.
But but I know they ride hard for me and I for them. And just how we are able, once again, how we're able to come together, how we really uplift and support one another. Sometimes how we hold the mirror up to each other. Like, yes, of course, we have a great time, and we also hold each other accountable. My friends, they are some very amazing, smart women, and we, most of us are in therapy, and we talk about that. And like I said, we hold the mirror up to each other in the moments that we need to. You know, there's a time for like, oh sis, they tripping, da 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 da, and there's another time for it's like, well, actually, Jade, what,
Mm,
you know, the story that you've just shared with me, like what part of this, you know, falls to your responsibility? How are you holding yourself accountable for what's happened? Like, we're able to have those conversations. And so it's not just, you know, we get together to party or kiki, but we're actually in our lives supporting each other's growth and cheering that on. You know, if we have a misstep,
mm,
we're able to have a real conversation about it. And yeah, they've just, I don't know. It's just amazing. But Black sisterhood is just, there's something about it that's just so unique. And I can't necessarily describe it, but I am lucky to have it. And, you know, it, like I said, it brings me a lot of joy. So, what is your next one?
ah, I like yours. So my next one is finding the ease of life. Um, and that is tricky. It is tricky to define for me
Mm,
because number one, just figuring it out, just accepting the fact that's like, you know what, my life doesn't have to be hard. It does not have to be filled with struggle in order to be worthwhile, or to be, or to say that I've gained or earned it the right way. Finding joy in being able to find ease and rest in my life and comfort in my life, but not only in my life but also in the lives of folks who are, you know, on the internet's living calm, quiet lives. I think that there's so much in the American in American culture and American ideology, especially amongst, you know, Black folks and folks of color, um, that is, words, I'm looking for the words, that is based around, like, you know, hustle and grind till you make it,
mm,
work
mm-hmm,
hard, do everything you can, sleep when you're dead. Like, you know, we talked about hustle culture last, you know, last season,
mm-hmm,
so we won't double back to that. But there's so much in that that it can make you feel like you're not doing enough. And the truth of the matter is, while I may not be doing enough for my personal goals, to other people is not my concern. I
mm-hmm,
need to be making sure that I am living a life that, you know, for that for me truly does provide me ease, because I think that that's something that's important. You will only live once, so there is no reason for you to live your life running yourself into the ground. I will die at some point in time, and I want to have enjoyed my life in the middle. You know, in the meantime, I want to have had a life that was comfortable and that I was able to, you know, to fall back in. I want my life to feel like, you know, I'm sleeping on plush sheets and, you know,
mm-hmm.
and covers and, you know, and relaxation, and, you know, and I understand that every day is not like that, but I don't want to intentionally make my life feel like I'm sleeping on a futon, right? I want it to be comfortable. I want it to be enjoyable. And I don't think there's any shame or any shame in that. Not for me. So finding ease and allowing myself to aspire to ease and to comfort, and that's bringing me joy. Kind of just, I think, kind of unlearning the
Mm.
idea that I have to constantly be running and constantly be working in order to have built something that was important to me. Like, it's okay for me to have ease and it's okay for me to have comfort, and that's exciting to be able to aspire to.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I mean, unfortunately, our ancestors and our elders have had to sacrifice, and they put the work in. But one of the ways that we're able to honor them is by finding the ease of life that they were not granted. Um, and
Mm,
that's acknowledging the hard work that they put in to get us to this point, and then
yeah,
honoring the rest that they deserved, making sure that we get it.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mine,
Okay. For you.
yeah, my next
Sorry.
one. No, you're fine. My next one is black pet owners. Um, so it's something to be said about about owning a pet in general, but I feel like there's like a little extra spice to it when you're a black person who owns a pet. And I
Let me
used
find my baby. Hold on. Let me tell her. Come here. Luna. There she go. Come here.
you know, so Gant has a pet. He has Miss Luna. I have a pet. I have a Blue Point Siamese. Her name is Pippi. Hi Luna. Hi Boo Boo.
Hi, Luna.
She in her bed somewhere. I'm not about to call her over here, but
Yeah, no.
it
She was just
is,
standing here behind me.
like I said, it is something. It is a sight to behold to see us parenting our pets, and it is a mixture of like actual parenting, like we talk to them like they're people. Sometimes we
Oh,
treat
yeah.
them like they're people, but then it's also just hilarious. So do you follow the page on Instagram called I think it's called Black People Pets? It's on IG.
No.
I need you to follow that page. I need everyone listening to
I'm
follow
on the
that
way.
page if you are on IG. Um, because it is dedicated to black pet owners. And some of the clips that I have seen over the last, I think I've been following them for maybe 4 or 5 months, maybe a little bit longer. It's relatable content because I have some of these same conversations with my baby, or we're put in very similar situations, and but until I found that page, or until I saw other friends who have pets parenting their pets, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's just a small contingent of us that act like this. I don't know, but no, black people as pet owners or pet parents, we are funny, quite funny, just very hilarious when it comes to how we parent our fur babies. Quick
Yeah.
story. I was about to go into the kitchen earlier today, and Pippi ran in there ahead of me. And so I was like, Pippi, what are you doing? Get out that kitchen. And I swear, she said, I don't know. And I was like, wait a minute, let me wait. Cats don't talk. You just responded to my question. Go sit down. It's you don't know, go sit down. But like we will be in here having full-fledged conversations. I tell her to sit her fuzzy behind down somewhere sometimes. Like it's just,
Right.
but like the way we love on our pets is also just so cute. So yeah, black pet owners, black pet parents, and the links that we will go to for our babies, what it looks like when you see us interacting with our fur babies. It's joyous. So yeah, that's my next one. What's yours?
Okay. I love that. And I did follow that page.
Okay.
So my next one is quality time.
Mm,
It's something that I kind of struggle with. Quality time is not like my top love language.
mhm.
My top one is words of affirmation. But quality time is something that I've really been finding more joy in, just spending time allowing yourselves to just be, not necessarily like doing anything. That's quality time with myself. That's quality time for me, like in prayer. Like that's quality time for me with my, in my relationship with my partner. Just kind of spending time just being. I think that's like there's something special and sacred about it. Like each of the in each of those iterations, like it replenishes, it kind of like, refines. Like I feel like it brings you brings me some semblance of peace, like a level of peace, and and rest, honestly. To be able to spend time with people and things and yourself, and loving on yourself, loving on, your higher power of choice, and loving on your partners and the people that you love, and really, again, not loving on them, by buying anything or doing anything or going anywhere in particular, but just spending that time, because you can't get it back. Those moments, you can't get them back,
Hmm.
and you always think my partner says this all the time, you always think you have more time than you do.
Yes.
So just loving on people and really being present in the moment and spending time with people, and enjoying them and allowing it to refresh you, even if yet let's fingers crossed, God willing, like you have all all your promised time, with all of those people that you love.
Hmm.
And, you know, right now is the day that you have, and it's the best time for you to really spend some time loving on the folks that you hold dear. And yourself should be one of those people as well. Like
Hmm.
treating yourself kindly, speaking kindly to yourself, speaking positive things over yourself. Like I know for me, I have an anxious mind. I have the anxieties.
Hmm.
So my brain tends to kind of like, have me focus on all of the things that are, all the negative possibilities or all the horrible things that could possibly happen. And I've just learned to kind of counteract that with really positive thought and positive words and, lovely things to say over myself and to repeat over myself and to give myself that love, in a way that's really important, and it is replenishing for me. So yeah.
Good answer. Good answer.
So what is bringing you joy as your next piece of what's bringing you joy,
Uh,
Mel?
yeah. So my next one is just what's bringing me joy. What I love about Black people, Black women especially, is how when we come into the conversation, we change or rewrite the narrative. Like we expand analyses, we influence the culture. We are the culture, and I just love that for us, and I love that about us. So like more recent one of the things that I'm trying to do this year is read more, and at least one book a month. And I mean, that's a big thing for me. That's a big word for Elmo because I've been reading a lot for like work and stuff, but I never really read just for the sake of reading. And so I'm finding, I mean, I've always loved reading, but one of the things that's happening is I'm focusing more on Black feminist work, Black feminist theory, but not just like the traditional Black feminism. Like once again, when we step into the conversation, we take feminism to a whole new level because we are
Mhm.
intersectional in our approaches. But with the new wave of Black feminism and intersectionality and reproductive justice, the conversations that are happening in these books are just chef's kiss. They're pristine. I'm really enjoying how we are taking back our stories, how we are taking back these, cultural frameworks, and like I said, really expanding on them. Um, so when it comes to some of the things I'm reading, it's like Bad Fat Black Girl by Cecily Bowen. It's Eloquent Rage by Dr. Brittany Cooper. It's You Got Anything Stronger by Gabrielle Union. It's these things where they're taking their own life stories and, like I said, not only just having the conversation, but the tenets of Black feminism and womanism, and just the expansion of the culture, the expansion of the influence, the expansion of these frameworks. It's perfect and it's bringing me joy. So that's my next one. What about you? What else is bringing you joy?
For me, the next thing that is bringing, I also want to double back really quick. I actually texted you a video that I felt like was fire, and I think you would really appreciate. But based off of what you were just sharing, but yeah, but something that's bringing me joy, right now lately, is just prayer and pursuing peace, like doing it on purpose. And I don't subscribe to anything for anyone else. I just know for me, it's been something that I've actually been as of late, finding more joy in and more excitement in. And I guess that really comes from a space of redefining my relationship with my higher power of choice, um, and really seeing it more as something that I get to do rather than something that I'm required to do, or else I'm going to be punished somehow. For me, just kind of rephrasing that, and then also finding that joy in that, but really utilizing that to establish peace in my mind and establish a place of like just even keel. Like to me, that is now my grounding place of where I kind of ground myself when my brain is kind of trying to go wonky on me, or when anxiety is flaring up, or when fear is flaring up. Like, because it can be, I can be fearful of so many things just in my life, in and of itself, like just being afraid of failing at potentially being married for me is really big right now. Not being a good
Mm-hmm.
professional, not being able to establish a really clear career path for myself, and just kind of knowing where I'm going. Like all of those things for me bring up a sense of anxiety and a sense of dread, and I have really through prayer, really found a place in my mind and found a confidence within myself to be able to be sure about myself and to give myself confidence and be like, you don't make bad decisions. I don't know why you think you do. And we are not going to side with that side of the crazy society in my brain that tells you that you're failing at this, you're not doing well at this, you can't do something. Um, or that I don't do well in any particular area. So really pursuing peace and doing it on purpose, and also be, I my partner's sister actually said something really funny like a year or two ago that I just that I remembered, and she basically was like, "Listen, y'all better not let me go to God about you, because if I do, it's gonna be a problem because He don't play about me." And I was like, "Huh." That's like an interesting perspective to take and be, but for me, what I have kind of flipped that to is like, I definitely feel that way about my relationship with the Lord, but I really more so feel that way about my relationship with myself and my brain and how I treat myself. And I'm like, I'm not going to be talking crazy to myself because I would not allow
Mm-hmm.
anybody to speak to me in that way. I'm not going to speak to myself that way. I'm not going to allow myself to fall down these patterns of I mean, really your own self abuse, like your own mental abuse that you do to yourself. And so for me, kind of being able to distinguish the importance of, of having a relationship with the Lord and making sure that that's pleasing in His sight, and also establishing that it's important for me to take care of myself and to be fierce in my protection of myself in the way that I love myself is just so important. So I think through prayer, though, I found that. So that's what I say is bringing me joy these days: having peace and finding refuge in my mind, and really being intentional about recreating that in all of the spaces that I enter. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, therapy. That's what we do. I've never been
That's
to a.
what we do.
I've never been to a session of therapy, and I'm gonna get there one day. I'm not there yet, but I try to do it in my own brain.
I mean, that's so a lot of what happens in therapy, like, yes, you processing out loud with somebody, but then you still have homework to do
Yeah.
and it's incorporating the tools. So just because you're not in therapy or like actively talking to someone else or someone else isn't a professional, it sounds
Hmm.
like you're still doing the work. You're still doing that really deep introspective or reflective work, which is part of the journey.
Yeah, I
But
spend
I
so much
keeps
time
I
in my
keeps
head
a
anyway.
counselor. I keeps a counselor on speed dial at
As
this
you
point.
should. I actually one day, like, I had a really bad night with, like, with anxiety, and it for in the past it has been really bad when my partner's not at home because I don't have anything to do but think. And I was
Hmm.
having a bad night with that, and I went on I went on like Talkspace or something, like
Hmm.
some website, like to actually start the process of looking and finding therapy. And them prices ran me right up off. I said, okay, we're gonna talk it through.
Yeah,
We're gonna take it to Jesus.
it's not accessible. Like, unfortunately, it's not accessible.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge proponent of it, and also completely understand that these prices, like, thank goodness my insurance covers this, cuz
Hmm.
I don't know.
It's a
Um
little, it'll get a little dicey. But anyway, off of
mhm.
that and on to your last point.
So my last point, and one of the things that brings me joy, has continued to bring me joy, and something I actively participate in almost every chance I get. It's how Black people can talk to each other just with our eyes. Um, and it's just, I don't know, there's something about someone looking at me or me looking over at someone, like raising an eyebrow or squinting an eye, and they get it. And I don't have to say anything else. And that warms my heart. Like eyeballs. That's it. That's all we need.
That's it.
It's a whole language.
It really
It's
is.
period, period. My favorite is we're in an open or shared space and there might be a handful of black people in the room and you just lock eyes with one of them because something has just gone down and it's just like you see this ish, you see this, eyes open wide, like, and looking over at whatever it's supposed to be, and they're like,
Mm.
yeah, I see it, you see this. And it's just whole conversation. And yeah, that's always brought me joy. Like I said, it's something I participate in frequently. For those of you who know me, my face is very expressive for the most part. I would say it's not that I'm getting better, I'm getting more strategic. So in safe
Mm.
spaces, or when I really just don't care how you're going to feel about it, the expressions will come out. But
Mm.
then, as my staff have learned fairly recently, I do absolutely have a poker face. And you will not know what I'm thinking. But in the moments that I'm allowed to like show up as my authentic self is very expressive. I don't have to say a lot of words, and people will at least know that something's going on. And they might even know exactly how I feel about it without me even opening my mouth. But yeah,
I love
that's
it.
that's my last one as far as what's bringing me joy.
I
Just
love
the
it.
communication that's inherent to us as a people is wild. It's amazing.
Yeah, it actually makes me think of like the TikToks of people, like of when people are like, say that ain't none of my business, but in black.
Right.
Like all of the ways that like we communicate, like
Hmm.
non-verbally, and we say things, we give you a face, like so many things. Like I think for me, that's one of my like favorite inside jokes with my mom, like because she's on the internet now, and so she sent me a picture of a meme. We were having a conversation, we black, so it
Hmm.
was shady. Um and we were having a conversation and she sent me like this gif, or it wasn't a gif, but it was a meme back of the guy from like Johnny Quest, I think, where he's making like a fake surprise face. It's like
Uh-huh. Oh
that
yeah.
one, my favorite thing, and that's my favorite thing between me and my mom, is like we know like now when it's like
Hmm.
when somebody's telling you something you're not supposed to know. um
Oh my. This is
what?
my first time ever here.
That
That's
is
crazy.
crazy.
Oh no. Whole
Yeah.
time you already knew, but I'm
Whole
gonna
time.
play along.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
the
So
inherent nonverbal communication is,
absolutely.
I feel like it's unmatched.
It's
And
top tier.
yeah, it brings me so much joy. It might sound like I'm being sarcastic when I say it warms my heart, but it really does warm my heart.
Yeah.
It really does, because there are a lot of people out here, and this is my last thing. There are a lot of people out here who will say that we don't have a culture, which, to
Mm,
say we don't have a culture means that we don't have shared understanding, shared values, some shared language even. And even down to our nonverbals, like clearly we share. We're constantly in the process of sharing and learning and evolving the culture that we have. And even when it comes down to like the regional cultures between
mhm.
black people, once again, it's amazing.
Yeah.
um so yeah.
And it's rich. I'm so glad you said that because that's something that like I feel like protective of when it comes to black people, because especially
Mhm.
black American people who don't have
Mhm.
a home, because the diaspora is far and wide, but the
Yep.
people who don't necessarily always have that quote unquote homeland connection. I just encourage people to really look at yourselves, like look at your home lives, look at your families, look at the spaces, like look at the experiences potentially, that you've
Yes.
had, because everybody hasn't had that experience, and that's fair.
Right.
But like there's such a richness and such a rich cultural context to being black American, and I think that there is beauty in that, and you don't have to go and search, and find yourself in all of these other places. While as beautiful for you to do that, and you absolutely can. You possess that right, as your own person, fully autonomized, and recognized as, as whole. And there's something special and beautiful in the Black American experience because there is culture there. There is shared language. There is shared meaning. There's all of that stuff. Like
Yes.
everything that you just said, like was so perfectly encapsulated. And I hope I'm not like mansplaining. Sorry, viewers, but that's just so important to me that people really see that there's a culture behind the Black American
Mm-hmm.
identity that is not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily specific to any other place. We built something here. High on the Hog was
Yes.
a phenomenal, like not personification, because that would have to be like a person,
An
but
encapsulation.
yes, that's the word. An encapsulation of what that means. Like it's just specific to food. And
Mm-hmm.
while we on TV stuff, OWN Network has like the Great Soul Food
I
cook
saw
off.
that. I
It's
saw
really
that.
good.
I did not agree with who they dubbed the winner.
Oh, I didn't
I
see
don't
the
know if
show.
I saw a last. Oh,
I
okay.
haven't seen everything. I only saw like the first 3 episodes.
Okay.
Three, four.
Well, shout out to my friend Ashley. Because we watched it together and we were both up in arms. Like, wonderful show. They definitely had their moments, and we can talk about this for a long time. They definitely had their moments where they were like, okay, and here's where you insert the lesson about Black culture and go.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
clearly they had those moments. Wasn't mad at it, but I really appreciated it. Like, and so once again, when we step into the room,
Yes.
we expand on the things that are already there
Yes.
to see the creativity. We're going to try and keep this brief,
I
but to see the
know.
creativity that happened on those plates and like continue to watch the show, but to see the creativity that happened on those plates, which was already like an expansion of what our ancestors had to do to make sure that they were providing, as nutritious as they could get the
Mm-hmm.
meals with the scraps that they had.
Yeah.
And then to see us take that even one step further and to quote unquote elevate that
Mm.
cuisine, it just once again blows my
Yeah.
mind. Some of the stuff that I saw those people do on that show, I'm like, never would have thunk it. Never
Mm-hmm.
would have thunk it. But so this is I'm like going off script a little bit more.
Oh yeah. We
the
we are
the
past that.
final the final thing that brings me joy, and this is a shameless plug, is the Cultural Day 2022
Ah yeah.
um festival that is going to happen on October 22nd of this year. um so yeah, folks listening, save the date. Cultural Day 2022 is being hosted by the Sapelo Island Cultural and Revitalization Society, so that's SICARS, and they're dedicated to preserving Geechee Gullah culture, land, and community on Sapelo Island, Georgia, which is where we are descended from, or we are descendants of. So you're going to do things like guided tours. You're going to be able to meet and greet islanders like my dad. We're going to have vendors, entertainment, arts and crafts, all kinds of stuff. October 22nd. Come on down. It is, I feel like it's it's going to be like a homecoming for a lot of people
Mm.
because we didn't have one last year, possibly the year
Yeah.
before.
No.
But then once again, this is a celebration of culture, especially as outsiders continue to tell us that we don't have any. We have plenty. We've got plenty, and this is an
Absolutely.
opportunity where we're going to share ours with you. So come on down,
Yes.
get your tickets.
So we have delved into all the blackness, and you know what? It's a perfect episode to actually do that and to really get into that. Because
Hmm.
speaking about Juneteenth, and as much as I think that there is a rage and there's a sorrowful energy behind some of our shared past, as Black people, I think there's so much joy and there's so much beauty and there's so much
Absolutely.
celebration to be seen in being Black and in having a Black experience. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. You don't have to do the ancestry kit.
Hmm.
You can be Black, and that's just be enough. It is totally
Hmm.
fine. And if you know exactly where you come from, there's beauty in the shared experiences of being Black that aren't necessarily historical either. Like the modern stuff. Like, we're gonna look at each other from across the
Yes.
room. Yeah, why she she got cat hair in her food. We're not eating at the potluck. We're not eating
We're
at the
not eating
pot
at
for
the
potluck.
potluck.
That's okay. I'm not going to do that. And that is inherently a piece of our shared
Mm-hmm.
experience. For those who choose to share it, because we do got the Herschel Walkers out there, but neither here nor there. So, so that is a wrap
Well,
for us, fam. Thank you for
yes.
joining us on this special episode, and we will see y'all next time.
Hey fam, want to join in on the conversation? You have a topic suggestion? Just remember to send us your thoughts at goodblackpodcast@gmail.com. That's GOODBLACKPODCAST@gmail.com. And of course, to support us, make sure you like, subscribe, rate and review, and share episodes across all your favorite platforms. We love y'all so much, and thank you for joining us for season 2. What? Hey.